So this was what,
First off, like, share, subscribe.
4+ years ago?
Yeah, it's flown by, huh?
I still like there's a part of my brain where if I let myself think about it too much, it brings up old emotions that I don't like to feel,
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
sort of.
But yeah, if you don't already, like, share, subscribe.
It's weird that you would like shield yourself off from that.
Well, that's why this is going to be a good thing for me to
Yeah.
like talk through it with you.
That's why you needed your bubbly.
Well, I mean,
so nervous about having your bubbly.
that's what I said to my friend down the street. I was texting her earlier.
Yeah.
But anyways, if you don't already, please follow us on social, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter.
Social. I was
at
also
Same Page the
told by the
Pod.
same person that suggested the
Would you rather?
yeah, that he says
We should just want to call him something. Let's call him like G-Man.
G-Man. I was actually thinking G-Man. So same
G-Man?
page.
Oh,
yeah,
shit.
same page. Yeah,
G-Man.
G-Man. Said that some of the podcasts that he comes across are like from clips on TikTok. And I was like, oh, I don't have TikTok.
Neither do I.
So maybe we don't need the TikTok, but maybe the podcast can have a TikTok and you can also put your clips on there.
Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that as a way to like spread them around.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say like we look at TikTok shit and like react to it.
No thanks.
Yeah, same.
Nope.
I don't know if I want this pillow or not. It's cute, but
I'll take it.
okay. Happy Halloween. So,
like
before you listen to any more of this lovely banter, hit the subscribe button.
Yeah.
It's gonna, for me, I mean, this is where I plan on taking it. It's gonna get kind of real.
Oh.
More so than usual this time.
Yeah.
I mean, like you said, we've been kind of like teasing the past episode or two.
Well, we're also because we're a part of it, we're probably building it up a bit more than it like.
Yeah,
it's probably not that big of a deal.
But okay, so for me it was, and I'm hoping that like all selfish reasons put aside to like dive back into this, I'm hoping that like maybe if someone's going through something similar. Within themselves.
Yeah, be interesting.
At a young age, like maybe it can help them.
Yeah. It was funny. I had one moment when I was like in the heyday of
Also, how do I look in your shirt?
You look great. Thanks for cutting me off. In the heyday of playing PUBG.
Ooh, PUBG.
Yeah, one of the guys.
Just another game I suck at.
One of the guys. You've never even played, I don't think.
Yes, I have.
I probably didn't let you play
Not very often because.
Probably didn't let you play very long. I was probably like, dude, you need to figure out how this game works or get off.
Fighting shooting games, just like I freak out and like when I used to play Halo 3, which was my favorite version. Seriously, anytime I came
you just throw grenades at people.
Yes, with the enemy, just chuck grenades and hope it weakened them, and then just like spray and pray.
Yeah, terrible. But anyways,
it works sometimes.
It's just funny. One of the guys that I played with was went through something somewhat similar, I think.
Yeah.
And I remember.
No one that you know personally.
I've met him a couple times. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because he's come from.
Do I know him?
No, you don't.
Okay.
But he played in a couple of tournaments when I was still over at the club.
Okay.
With some of the other guys that I played with, like the guys that do live around here. So I met him a couple times there, but one of the guys that lives around here was like suggested to him was like, he's like, man, with what you have going on with your situation at like work and stuff, like you should probably talk to Elliot. Like Elliot's gone through something similar to this.
He got involved with a work person.
Yeah. And I think that work person had another.
Yeah.
Another lover.
So I want to give a little context.
Just funny. Nothing ever happened. I never gave any advice. I wanted to. I would have.
Oh, he didn't ask you?
No.
Oh.
No, the other guy told me that he was like, yeah, probably. It's a weird thing to just ask a guy that you know on the internet.
Yeah, because you don't, I don't know. There's like a fear of judgment.
Who knows? I probably would have given terrible advice.
I don't think so.
Well, maybe. Who knows?
But I want to give a little context, in case like the listeners haven't picked up on, like from previous episodes. I
You were a dirty girl.
No,
Oh,
before this.
more context.
More
You were
context.
a slightly cleaner girl.
So,
No, you're a
I
dirty
come
girl.
from I come from a household where
Oh, we're going like this kind of
my
context.
parents my parents are together, still together.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they got married young, started having kids young. Like I think my mom had my brother when she was like 23. Um, so that's what I knew. Like that's all I knew growing up, and from like them being my role models, just seeing like, okay, you can get married young and it's gonna work, and like that's just how things go. Like you find someone in your 20s,
Mm-hmm.
you settle down, that kind of thing. So that's my context, like for my perspective and like expectation in life when I was younger, and also context to my previous relationship with my ex. We met on Facebook, so we went to the same high
Yeah.
school but met on Facebook. Like
Yeah,
not,
the OG Tinder.
yeah.
Really? You guys swipe right?
So I
And then to
was
quote
shit. How old
Miley
was I?
Cyrus, I came in like a wrecking ball.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I was 18 because I was fresh out of high school
Yeah.
when we met.
Because he's like, well, is he my age, I guess, right? A year young.
88, yeah.
Yeah.
He's a months younger, cause
Yeah.
yeah, but same year.
Just
Um,
preying on this old girl.
so I have been married, and that was to my ex.
Husband.
Yeah,
Yeah. Weird. Weird to say it like that. You always
it
call him
is
your
weird.
ex. Yeah. Ex-husband.
Yeah, it is.
There was documentation.
Um, so anyways, I don't even know where to start.
Yeah. You're already nervous. You
Let's
don't need
just
to be nervous.
I am. Let's just let's just start with like I started working with you in 2015. That's when we like met, but
Yeah.
like we didn't
We
start talking till end of 2016.
yeah, we went a while.
Cuz I remember
Well, I
specifically.
knew you were already like engaged.
Oh,
Like you were just off
yeah.
my radar.
Let me back
I
up
just didn't
because
really
yeah,
care. I wasn't gonna like.
I was engaged December 2015.
Yeah.
So we started talking a year later.
My goal wasn't at like at no point was my goal to like try to uh you know
Make moves.
like be a little
Score on the goalie.
Hannah homewrecker. Wasn't trying to do any of that.
Um Yeah, so and I will be totally like transparent. I initiated
Yeah.
the conversation.
Yeah. It's so funny because and it makes me kind of
All
like
right, come
it
on.
makes me feel a little goofy that like I think I remember one of the first things I said to you when you'd like approached me with your texts that were obviously like, oh, this is more than like a work thing. I was like, oh, I didn't mean what I said at work about like this other girl being like the hottest at work because I think we'd like
Oh
literally just
shit,
like
you did, didn't you?
recently had a conversation about that where it was like a few of us from the back
You
and
did.
then some of you girls from the front
Yeah.
and
From
and I
the front.
and I remember being well, basically what it was.
Yeah.
And I remember being like, I didn't actually like mean that. I just,
Yeah.
you should know.
Um so yeah, so I initiated contact
Once
and
I smelled, I was I was a
oh, you
shark.
smelled?
I was a shark. I smelled blood in the water, and I was like,
I'm not sure I
let,
was on my
I was
period.
like, let me, gross. I was like, let me get this
But
game in motion.
before I even initiated, like, and I had told you this before, and I don't remember specifically if you thought it was weird or not, but like, so my ex-husband, he was, he was my first, but he was a really like sexual person. Like he introduced me to porn and he loved it.
Yeah,
And he pretty much just wanted sex like all the time. And it's not like not saying anything bad about him, like everyone's built differently, but that was like what I like was going through with him, and I had to like, so he was my first, so I had to warm up to sex, and then like I was introduced to porn and I was
yeah,
like,
and
okay,
then
this
you're
is
just
kind of
like
weird.
in the
And
deep end.
so he was all I knew basically. And so before I started to initiate like chief any kind of contact with you,
Go down.
he had brought up the topic of an open relationship.
Yeah, Yeah.
because he claimed to like think that it was like exciting for me to be like wanted by other guys and like
Yeah.
I guess like cuck shit.
Yeah. Bad move. Yeah. Bad move.
Um
That's always the part when I like
well, it was a
when I give
bad move, but at the
thought
same
to it.
time, me being my naive and immature
Yeah.
self
You're
who
just
had
like
never
out.
had another dick in her
Yeah.
life,
You're like out there just trying to like. Oh,
I
all
was
right.
like
You're
I
like
was
fine.
like, "Oh wait, so I can go like talk to dudes? Like
Yeah.
what?"
Yeah.
So, that was a big part of it too. So we had talked about the open relationship and then like I had initiated conversation with you and we had talked and did our little flirting at work and all that
Yeah.
stuff and so the very first time that we ever like did anything sexual was at work, and I don't know how much we want to talk about work stuff cuz I don't know that it if it would still be able to come back and bite us in the ass
I don't know how.
as far as like, and I can cut this part out, but as far as like drinking after hours and like
Oh yeah. I don't know if any of that matters. I
that's
mean.
why I paused in between my words so we could cut it out if we need to. But
Uh.
yeah, so that first time that we ever like were sexual at work, first of all, was amazing if I do say so myself. And
Yeah.
it wasn't even intercourse.
Whoa. Quotes.
But anyways, that first time, and I probably told you this as well, but you might like be creeped out about it. I told him about it, and
Yeah.
he was like excited by it a little
Yeah.
bit. So basically, I like blew you in the hallway.
Yeah.
Full disclaimer. Um,
Yeah.
and I
You
told
are.
him about it, and like he was fine with it. Like
Yeah. Weird.
it was weird,
So
and he
weird.
told me like, okay, so like if you do more things with him, like tell me after, and basically like that would like heat things up for him.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was weird for me, and it was just like everything happened at once where like he he had talked about open relationship and I was connecting with you and I was realizing that maybe I wasn't connecting so much with him, and I know they all had to do with each other,
Yeah.
but it all happened at the same time and I was just like a lost,
Yeah.
confused little girl.
Yeah. And yeah, I think well, it would have been really hard, but in looking back on it, I could have been way more like r-
Pushing me away.
no, 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 more just
Oh,
like receptive to the idea that like you're going through a ton. I know. I remember I was like kind of pushy when I wasn't getting like
I don't remember you
my
being
way.
pushy.
I feel like at times I was definitely
Okay, I
there were
remember
times
you
where I would be
being
like passive. I'd be
sensitive.
like, yes, passive aggressive or
Yeah.
like sensitive
You were
about
a Sensey Sally
yeah.
sometimes.
Well, I was fucking in love and was basically like having uh these back and forth ideas of like never gonna be with this person that I love and potentially like this is the person that I want to be with forever. So
So
it was tough.
to add
It
more
was
context, I was with this guy for a total of like almost 9 years. So it was like a while before this all started going down, and like I just remember like he was like into this whole open relationship thing to the point where we set up like a four-way date, and I know
yeah.
you remember this.
Yeah.
We set up
I
like
only I
a double date
the
even though you
thing
weren't with the other
yeah,
chick.
the thing that I remember most, and I don't know if
Oh,
you'll
I'll tell you what I remember
like
most.
this or not,
I already
but
know about it, so it's cool.
the thing that I just thought was funny, and it gave me more than anything like a bit of insight into your ex
Yeah.
when like you were, let's put it, out of commission by
Fucking
the end
hammered.
the end of the night, and
Probably puking.
I
I'm gonna blame you, by the way.
I've had my own issues with alcohol, but I mean I was
Not a lightweight like me.
a champ when it came to drinking.
Yeah.
So I was more or less like in my element, and the fourth, the other girl, like I don't know exactly like how it happened, but like when you're drinking, you just like loosen up, and I must
Yeah.
have at some point been like just
Wait a second. Let me stop you
doing
right there.
things.
Let me stop you right there. Because it wasn't at some point. Let me tell you what I remember most about that night.
Might have been the bowling alley.
So we all went bowling.
Yeah.
And let me just like, let me tell you what my
We
goal
had talked,
in
by
my
the way, prior
head
to that.
we had.
Not you and me. I mean me and her.
Okay,
Like
well,
when
we had talked also.
when we knew this was official, her and I had talked,
So
and
basically, we were aiming for like a foursome.
yeah,
But we
I
were
wasn't.
aiming for that in my head because I just wanted to get at you. Like,
Yeah,
I didn't give a shit about.
yeah. Well, I wasn't locked into like the idea of like we're gonna be. My conceptual idea of it was like, all right, dude, like you clearly are just trying to get another piece. So, and I hate to
Oh,
talk to her
you were
this way because
thinking
she
of
is a
that.
sweet girl, but
Yeah,
like
she
that's
is.
really, and she was, for lack of like she was into it to some extent. Otherwise, she wouldn't have been there.
Yeah.
But he clearly just wanted to get like a piece, and I think his fundamental flaw of this
Mm-hmm.
was that it's way tougher as a dude to just get pussy thrown at you than it is for a girl to get dick thrown at her. So,
Yeah. Sorry,
like
guys.
me coming at you, like if you were interested, then it was like, okay, we're here, we're locked in. Like I will throw my dick at you because I'm interested, and you just happen to be like reciprocative of it.
Yeah.
Uh, it didn't seem like that was the case for him, and I think that was the fundamental flaw in his plan. Was like I don't know how much they had talked. Well, I know that they had, and I know
Okay.
that she wasn't all that thrilled about. Like she was willing to just be like, well, I guess if it turns out to be a good time, it'll turn out to be a good time.
Right.
Is
See
how
what
she went into
happens.
it.
Yeah.
Whereas like I went into it and you went into it like we're gonna hook up with each
Oh,
other.
you went into it that way
Well,
too?
I was assuming I was gonna hook up with you, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I was hoping too, and that's why when we were at the bowling
But at the
alley,
same, well, yeah.
listen, Gene,
But it's oh, all
we
right. Listen,
when we were
Gene.
at the bowling alley and you were like, okay, so I can't remember in the timeline like how long after we started talking that this happened, but I was like, my heart was breaking like every time I saw you
Yeah,
touch her in the bowling alley.
yeah. Well,
And
alcohol and stuff gets involved.
it was stupid of me to feel that way, but I felt that way.
Yeah, no. Well,
We
and
had already like done intimate things.
yeah,
And so
yeah.
I saw you doing that with her and I was like, this is like, my heart's dying right now. Like, what is
Yeah,
happening?
yeah.
So
Well,
I had zero fun at the bowling alley.
yeah.
And maybe that's why I
Probably
ended
got
up just
yeah,
like in the
yeah,
bathroom all night.
yeah.
Like, let me
Well, I
just
remember
puke my brains out instead.
he was trying to like he was like trying
Drive
to
you
yeah he
home.
was like trying to get me out of there with you guys
Yeah, I remember
because
you
I think
said that.
he didn't want her. There's no good way of putting it other than like he didn't want someone else to like be hooking up with this girl that he was trying to hook up with,
Yeah, yeah.
and I was again a champion, and I was like, dude, I was like, I know what's happening here,
Yeah.
and I also know that I live within walking distance. Like,
Yeah.
no dice,
You
dude.
did too. Yeah.
I'm gonna stay.
Um, yeah, and I think I told you this before that I talked to her after that, and mostly for selfish reasons, but I played it off like, "Hey, like how was your night?" like
Yeah,
that kind of thing.
yeah.
So yeah, we talked about you and she was like, "Man, like my I shouldn't
My
say any. I shouldn't say it."
what?
Well, we were just talking and she was like, "Man, like my boobs hurt after that." Like
Uh, I was so. I to be more specifics of that night. I definitely. I don't. We definitely. I don't think we ever even. Fuck. I passed out.
Oh, you
Yeah,
did?
like we like were making out and doing some stuff
I could have
downstairs.
swore that. Okay, yeah.
I passed out and then I woke up around the daylight and like
Oh
I was
God,
it's like
were her parents there?
I mean we're talking about like 5:45 in the morning.
Oh, you
Like
got out in time before
daylight
you.
had just started and I was like I was just still so messed up that I was like, "Oh, we're still doing this. Like we're still in the
Yeah,
middle of it." And then
in the middle, in the
I
middle of
started
it.
doing some more and
Oh, she was there with you still.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And then I don't know. And then we
Yeah,
woke up and she was like, "Yeah, you've got to go." And I was like, "Yeah, that works for me."
yeah.
But first off, I thought I was all of like that weird stuff aside. I feel like I knew pretty quick that I was like I thought that you were really interesting and you were someone special, and I was like so beside myself that I was like I wanted to just like grab you by your shoulders and be like, "Hey, you shouldn't be trying to be shared by somebody else. Like this is weird, and I wouldn't do that."
I'm glad that you mentioned that because I was, like I said, too naive at the time to realize that that's something that shouldn't be okay. Um, 'Cause yeah, like you said, like he was willing to share me, and I didn't know any better at the time to like be like offended by that, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like why would you? Cuz thinking about us now, like I would never want to do that with you. I would never
Yeah.
want anyone else to have you.
Yeah.
So
I'd
the fact that
flip
he
out. I'd be like, "What are you fucking talking about?"
yeah. So so yeah, so that's like that's kind of a little bit of detail, but I don't want to paint a picture of like I was the victim in this because I did lie and deceit.
Yeah.
Um, because it started with this openness. Like I told him that I messed around with you that one time. And then after that, like I started lying.
Yeah.
I didn't want to admit to myself, mostly, but I didn't want to admit to him and to his family and to my family that like I was having second thoughts and I was like having a change of heart
Yeah.
kind of thing. So, I just figured like in the big picture of things, I figured like, okay, I found this guy who's a good guy in my like not even in my 20s yet, but like early 20s and whatever. Um, who's a good guy who kind of wants the same things, I think in the long run. So why not just run with it? Not even thinking that like maybe I should wait and like learn more about myself because I think that was one of the biggest things was like I didn't even know myself.
Yeah.
Like I was
Well, and
18 when I met him.
I've always wondered, um, like I always wonder what like your guys' time together when it was like at home, like were you like I always wondered like did you guys interact the way that we interact like we very 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 rarely have we're lucky in the sense like have bad days. I mean we're always
Yeah.
for the most part like having like joking around with each other,
Yeah.
like
And if something's
finding
bothering us, then we
finding
don't.
silly things to like
Yeah.
make us like smile and be happy.
I'll come back to that like answer, but I just want to say that I'm really happy um that we so I remember like before Colton.
Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, I'll
No, no,
wait.
no, no, go.
No, I'll wait.
No, babe.
No, I'll take a sip and wait.
All right, I'm sorry. I gotta.
Is it football shit?
Oh, yeah, I gotta trade off.
Jesus Christ.
What? I don't know why. It's not gonna be a good one. Man, you fucking crazy. Are you kidding me?
If I lose my train of thought, it's not my fault.
Go ahead.
You say that, but you're still holding your phone.
Fucking dude's trying to just whack trades.
So
Whack
anyways,
trades.
before Colton and like when we first moved in together, like even to this house together, I um it really bugged me that when we either of us had a problem, we would just like kind of go silent on each other for a period of time.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether it was because like we didn't want confrontation or we just wanted to see who would cave first or whatever. But like I'm so glad that we're past that and we're like the most open that we've ever been with each other.
I imagine a lot of that was that I was still drinking, and that it
And you
was
just didn't want to be like the one that caved.
well. I think the way that it works, at least like the way the alcohol worked, was it was easier to just like pile like booze on it. Like
Oh,
it
yeah,
seemed
that's
like it
true.
was just an easier thing to do
Right.
than like try to, um, like talk about it, talk about like
But
hard things.
I
Not to
really
say that like I don't. Again, I still don't think that was like it wasn't even all that frequent though.
no, it
Even when I
wasn't.
was drinking.
But I'm just telling you that it makes me appreciate so much more now that we're like completely like
Yeah,
vulnerable with each other.
yeah. Well,
Um,
I would say possibly somewhat selfishly, like I've done a little bit of work on like trying to be
You've done a lot of
better.
work, babe. Don't sell
It's
yourself
hard.
short.
It's hard, but
You've
I
done a
fight,
lot
dude.
of work.
I fight myself pretty often, pretty
And
daily about like telling lies and stuff. I
isn't that crazy that
sometimes
like
it's very easy.
it seems the most for me too, honestly. It seems the most conflict is with yourself.
Yeah,
Like always.
yeah. Well, with the
It's
work,
weird
with the
that
work
way.
thing. I mean,
Yeah.
it's it's so hard to describe. Sometimes I feel like I'm being a little baby about it. I really feel like that because some days, even like throughout a day, I can go up, down, sideways, and at the end of the day, come home and just be like, "Yeah, the day was fine." Like
Right.
at the end of it all, it could have been way worse. At the end of it
Yeah.
all, it probably also could have been way better. It
Yeah.
was moderately fine, and like the job like today, I was like, okay,
Not for you.
just not no. I mean,
Not what you expected.
no, the two dudes that would be like directly above me probably wouldn't be doing much of anything,
Oh.
and I was just like, all right. And the biggest thing it had going for it was it sounded like their time, like a slow time of the year, you'd be looking at like possibly not being open every Wednesday. So like you'd Monday closed, Tuesday closed, and potentially Wednesdays as well for like a month.
Oh.
Still getting paid for all that,
Mhm.
but you know, I was in there, like good looking place and stuff, but old,
Oh.
old stuff.
Dated. Yeah.
Um,
Um.
smells.
Yeah.
The smell. I was like, this is weird.
But yeah, I can imagine that
But yeah, I brought that up though for
you're
like
in
the conflict.
conflict with
Yeah, yeah,
yourself.
yeah. The
Yes.
inner conflict of like,
And I actually full disclosure talked to your well,
you
not
talking
like
to my
a
mom behind my back, you
no,
fucking
not
bitch.
a long talk, but
Uh,
your stepmom
oh,
texted me
oh,
back
okay,
today,
okay.
and it was
You
probably
can talk to her. She's fine. She's cool.
in response to a picture of Colton or something like that. But she just asked like she said she was thinking about us and she asked how you liked your job and I was honest. And I won't go into detail in case whatever, but I was honest and she was like, "Well, I hope like I'm rooting for him. I hope he finds like
Mm.
what makes him happy and tell him that I'm rooting for him." So I told her that I would tell you. So anyways, let me go back to you had asked me and this was one of the big like big reasons that I was seriously struggling with making a decision to like leave that situation with my ex-husband and trying to explain it to family members and things like that was like um I never connected with him on a deep type of
Mhm.
level. It was never really anything more than like, "Oh, how's your day? It was all right. What do you want for dinner? Blah blah blah." It was never really anything more than that. And I don't know that I would have ever realized it. Well, I probably would have in the long run, but like if not for you, um and maybe just the timing was weird and like it was hard for other people to grasp, especially my family, but I tried to tell them like I don't connect with him like that. Like I don't feel I don't come home and feel like I want to like for one be intimate, but like for two like get on a level like that cuz I come home and not to bash him at all, but like he's just like looking at the TV or like not, you know?
Yeah.
It was just hard for me to come home and try to like make connections with him that we were making. Um so no, I don't to answer your question, I didn't ever have like anything in the same realm that we started like right off the bat. Like I remember you and I when we were at your old house, we I loved just like going on walks with you.
Yeah.
And like we would go and walk and like talk about things and I know that like of course it was because we were like everything was brand new to each other like you were telling me about your family and vice versa. But I don't really ever remember even doing stuff like that with him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah, I loved everything that we talked about and like when we would walk around that pond and like Um, there was that one really cute night that was like totally like from a movie when we laid down on the blanket and like looked at the stars and like
Oh
talked
yeah.
about a bunch of stuff.
Gotta be honest. Not the first time I've done that.
I'm sure it
That
wasn't, but
was
I liked it.
that was a yeah. That was kind of a go-to move.
Yeah.
Point out like 5 or 6 constellations. I could point some things out.
Oh
I paid
Lord.
attention. I know some things in the sky. So it was a good one. It was a good one to throw down every once in a while.
Yeah.
But I mean, I
But
was the same way. I never, I mean, I was also in a relationship,
yeah, he was.
a relationship that, I mean, it was, it was rugged. It was rough.
I mean, was I'm gonna shoot a question right back at you. Was there ever a point where you guys were like talking future stuff and you were happy and
I mean, I'm
like
sure we were, but we were like probably talking future stuff out of like, uh, the necessity, like this, like of the, like this is what we're supposed to be doing. Like this is what we're supposed to be talking about. Not
right,
because like we
same.
wanted to.
Yeah.
Like or like it was something that we both were like really interested in. I
Yeah.
mean, like my con like well, I mean, like this is somebody like I met at the bar.
Oh, you did meet at a bar?
Yeah, and then
I mean, that's not
got
much better
like
than
got
MySpace.
like shot down initially.
Yeah.
Because I think I had a minor reputation. I think I had hooked up with one of her friends
Oh,
prior to
really?
that, like ex friends or
And
something
see,
like
I
that.
was new to the area, so I didn't know about any
Yeah,
reputations.
yeah, I had. I guess I had one. But then like so it was like we didn't talk or anything for a while, and then like it was a New Year's, I think, New Year's Eve. Um, I don't know why. I don't know why it popped in my head. But, like I just randomly like shot her a text, and she responded with
Oh my God.
like hook up, like let's hang out. And I was like okay, and then like literally it was like a couple weeks of that, and
Yeah.
then I think it was like we were like I knew that I needed to be looking for a house. And like we
Where
moved
were
in.
you when you started texting her? Living, I mean.
My mom's.
Oh, you were.
Yeah, yeah,
Why
yeah.
did you think you needed to find a house then?
Because I think my mom was coming back home. Like I only
And you
stayed. I really.
couldn't be there?
I mean, I could have, but I generally tried not to be. Like when
Oh,
she was like in home, like a home for the season.
okay.
Tried not to be because I didn't want to. I never liked the idea, even though I was like still like kind of mooching off her house. I never liked the idea of like mooching off of her like when she was around. Like I didn't. I feel like
Okay.
I wasn't supposed to be doing that as
Yeah.
her kid. I was just supposed to be attempting to grow up,
Yeah.
be like grown up. And then yeah, so if like found a place, like I mean, we might have been like dating for like 2 months, and I really tried to push that off too. Like I was
Getting a place with her?
no pushed off like the like dating, like
Label?
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I was on a pretty good run of like
You
girls
just,
at the time.
oh, you just wanted to be like free to do whatever. You just wanted to be
Yeah.
roommates, basically?
No, didn't even want that. Didn't could have gone without that, but I needed the extra income.
Oh.
So definitely what I needed.
Yeah.
And so it was really like driven from that. I mean, I'm not a good person. I was not a good person at this time. Very selfish. I won't say I was bad, but I was very selfish.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Um,
you and me both, babe.
and so like yeah, it came from that. But I mean, I vividly remember being like, I'm not trying to put, like it was brought up to me a couple times. I was like, I'm not trying to date. Like there's a couple out there. One like had walked in, like she had gotten just hammered at the bar
Mm-hmm.
and lived too far away to drive. So I live right like down the street from the bar that we like would go to.
Mm-hmm.
And like literally like walked in on me and the ex. Like hear a knock on the door, like the bedroom door.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Oh,
what the fuck? I was like, why would my brother be knocking right now?
your brother.
Because he was staying at the house. He lived at my mom's
He
house.
what? Yeah,
Yeah, this is
okay.
like
Your
we were
mom's
still at my
house.
mom's house. He lived at my mom's house.
Okay, yeah.
And
I
so
mean,
like someone knocks on the door, and I'm like, all right, it's
did she
gotta be
have a
my
key or you left the
brother.
front door open?
No, I like lived like she hadn't come back yet, so I lived there, like with my brother. I would just stay there for like 3 months at a time.
Oh, your mom's house you were with her.
Yeah.
I thought you meant the house you
No,
moved
no,
in
no. My
together.
mom's house. I was with her. And so like I hear a knock on the bedroom door, and I'm like, why is my brother knocking on the door? Whatever, like let me go see. And put like a towel on,
Yikes.
and then it's just this hammered girl. She's like, hey, I'm like really drunk, and I'm like, what the fuck are you? Literally, what the fuck are you doing here? Like
Back on the street.
walk out, and she's like, I'm just really drunk. I need a place to stay. And I was like, yeah, you can't stay here. Like
Oh
I was
my
literally like
God.
I've got somebody in my like.
What did she say?
She was just like, all right, I'm really sorry.
Not her, the other one.
Uh,
Was she
who knows?
with it enough to say something, or she was like,
Yeah, I think she was like, what was that? And I mean, again, so at this point, there were no like labels on anything,
yeah,
and
that's
I was just like,
okay.
yeah,
I
dude,
mean, that's how it was with you and I, but I still got butthurt over like the smallest
yeah,
things.
yeah. Well, I'm sure she was upset a little bit, but it's
Yeah.
also like, whatever, dude. Sorry. I feel a little bad. I should have just been like, dude, you can sleep on the couch. And then my other thought process post this happening like a couple days later is like, man, I bet I could have locked down the threesome. Like, I bet I
Oh
could have just been
Lord.
like, yeah, why don't you come on in?
Uh,
This
yeah.
is so and so. This is so and so. Let's make this work.
Oh my God.
But that didn't happen. I was just like, no, dude, you can't stay here. Like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
This is craziness.
Yeah.
You knocking on my bed. You walked into my house unannounced.
Yeah.
Walked in the front
The
door.
balls.
Yeah, yeah.
What the
Should have
hell?
locked the door, but didn't. Just walked right in.
Yeah.
But yeah,
So
so like I was in a relationship. That was a long tangent for the fact
yeah.
that I was in a relationship as well. But I mean, I knew my relationship was not. I mean, I knew the one that I was in was not like going to be lasting long.
Okay.
I just was not, just wasn't for me. Uh,
Okay.
and I was just
I
still,
remember the first time I ever saw you guys together. I was at work, and I think it was maybe one of your days off, but you had to come in for something. Maybe you left something there, and she was with you, and you guys walked through the kitchen, and this was before we ever started talking. So I just saw you, and I was like, oh hey, that's his girlfriend. That's cool. Um, but yeah, we both like it got to a point where like I don't know, like I said, I was being open at the beginning, but then I just wanted you for myself, and I didn't want
yeah,
to tell anyone. I didn't want the shame. I didn't want to like admit to my friends and family that like I'm having second thoughts. So like basically growing up, like I was always of the mindset where like I'm going to get married and divorce is not an option. Like we're going to work shit out.
yeah,
That's it. So it was like super hard on me, but of course everyone else, for me to admit to myself like you didn't get it right the first time.
yeah,
And you know me, you know that
yeah,
everything in life I try to do it right the first
yeah,
time.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Like the most small, like the
Hey man,
smallest shit.
mistakes happen.
I
Mistakes
know.
happen.
So, like I said, I was 18 when I met him and barely knew myself. I mean, I was still growing and like, so yeah, I just, it was hard for me to admit that like I fucked up and I shouldn't have gone through with the wedding probably. I
Yeah,
mean, it was a waste of my parents' money and I swore to myself that I'd pay them back and I hopefully plan to one day.
yeah. I'm sure they're gonna let you off the hook for that, but
But you know what's funny is when I
probably
was working
probably
where
have already been left off the hook.
when I was working where you're working now, and my direct superior, who I shared an office with, who I love, and she was like my work best friend, and I'm like sad to admit that we stopped talking a little bit, but um, I even told her like when I got my you know what license, I even told her like when I get my first few paychecks, like they're going straight to my parents, and like I'm gonna pay them back for that, all that like financial like
Yeah,
heartbreak.
yeah.
I just
I'm
felt
sure they're
horrible.
fine with it.
Like I felt horrible. Like I don't know what would have been worse. Like what's worse,
Well, I
like going
remember.
through with the wedding and then this happening, or like
Yeah,
calling it off like shortly before it's supposed to happen.
yeah.
What do you
Would have.
think?
Yeah. Hey, I'm glad I didn't have to make that choice. That would have been tough. That would have been tough.
I know, right?
I'm
But
glad that I got to just text and be like,
you and I talked on
"Congratulations,
our wedding
congrats."
day. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, talk
I
about
sent I
heartbreak.
sent you a text. I was like,
I
"Hey, I guess
know.
congratulations." I
You didn't say I guess.
no, I
You
didn't. I
were
said congratulations. But I mean,
Yeah.
you knew full passive aggressive,
Of course I knew.
fully like this fucking bitch. I mean, it was funny.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's funny to look back at it now because I was definitely constantly told by people close to me that like this just like this isn't gonna work out for you, dude. And I don't know what it was. I mean I've told you many times that with like the stuff that's happened to me, like I feel like supremely lucky. Like I have for whatever fucking reason, I have just been insanely lucky with with some things that have happened. And I just remember thinking like, man, like you guys keep telling me that this like something just seems like it's gonna work. Like this works out. Like I don't know. I just
Yeah.
don't feel like I'm gonna. This it doesn't feel right. Like the right thing to give up on.
Right.
And then, I know we actually talked about this in the car, like a couple weeks ago. But I know like the night that we like semi got caught by my ex
Oh yeah, yeah.
where I worked.
Uh-huh.
I remember like when when there was the where the instance in which it seemed like they were gonna try to possibly get like violent with you. I was like, that was the moment that I was like, definitely not letting
Yeah.
this girl go. Like, if I've got to beat up 3 chicks for the namesake of this girl that I love, that's what's gonna happen. I'm gonna fight these
Yeah.
girls, and it's gonna be a terrible day for them. Well, luckily, that didn't have to happen.
Yeah.
And then, like the following week, when we were still living together, and she's like, "Are you still like texting her?" And I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "I thought you were gonna stop," and I was like, "When did you ever think that was gonna happen?"
Yeah.
Like I'm happier than I've ever been, like talking to her, and like
Right.
I feel like I'm getting like the things that I would expect or want out of a relationship
Right.
from talking with her, and I was like, it's not gonna stop,
Yeah.
and she was just like, okay,
Yeah.
and I was like, yeah, we're probably not like we're probably done, like I don't just because we're sharing a house now.
Right. So, I want to like fast forward a little bit. I don't want like a part of me wants to like go through details, but I don't want to be like
Yeah, I don't
dirty.
think we have to get bogged down too
No.
hard on the details
So
because
so we
that could a take a long time and b become like
controversial.
well, not even controversial, but could just become like too much for people to want to listen to.
Yeah.
Like, uh,
Agreed. Okay.
again, this is for people. Like, not every love story is like a movie, or some of them are. I don't know. I don't know if
Yeah.
this is somewhat movie esque, but also maybe not. It's like real world movie
Right.
esque, if you ask me. I don't know.
So we like when we started like I mean, I don't want to speak for you, but like I started lying about you and I like hanging out and like the late nights where we worked and oh my god, I remember that like one or two nights where we were there till like daybreak
Yeah,
and I just like it was the so I was staying
yeah. I don't know
pretty much
how you.
staying with him and his parents like during most of our relationship. So that early in the morning coming back
Yeah, it
to
has to
that
be weird. Yeah,
house,
yeah.
Jesus Christ. So yeah, like that kind of stuff happened. We would just like hang out and I would just say like, we had to work late, like this ran late and this happened and whatever and just like covering shit up and I know that that was wrong, but at the same time like I said, I couldn't admit to myself
Yeah.
that I had fucked up and I like had a change of heart.
Yeah.
I couldn't
Yeah.
I couldn't face it.
Well, so
So,
it's interesting though because I think like just I granted I mean we're now 5 6 years past it all. Like like it's funny to think about from the things that I've like learned from Dr. Jordan Peterson. Um,
doctor.
it really would have been so much easier and so much better for all parties involved
I
had we
know.
have just been like, look,
I know.
this is happening. Like,
And I know that now,
yeah.
but thinking back, like it was so hard for
Well,
me
I know.
to
I mean,
admit a
at the
failure.
time,
I felt like
yeah,
I failed,
yeah,
that was the general feeling like and I guess I just have always been worried about what people think of me, so like thinking about his
well, yeah, I
family
know
and
you're.
my
Well, I know
family and
you're.
our
Yeah,
friends.
you're. I remember. I mean, we had a few
I've
talks
always been like that.
about how you felt like your family. I remember. I mean, I would try to tell you, like, I'm like, this is your family. I mean, they
Yeah.
love you.
Yeah.
Like, they might not be the happiest with your decision, but if
Yeah.
they love you, they should eventually come around to it.
And they have.
Oh, well, of course.
Absolutely they have. But
I
I
gave them a
remember
grandchild. They fucking better have come around on it. Otherwise,
I
Christmas will be
remember
one less.
I remember there was an evening where I wasn't at your place, I wasn't at my ex's place. I was just home and I was sitting in the living room with my parents and I said just out of the blue like we were watching TV and I was like um I feel like you guys hate me. And then I forget exactly what they said, but they said something along the lines of like we just don't understand and that kind of thing. Which I get. Like I didn't fucking understand really
Yeah.
either.
Well, your
I
dad
was just
was the
going
first, though,
through some
right, to come
shit.
around? Wasn't your
Yeah.
dad, like, the first to just be like, I don't really care
In all honesty,
anymore? Like,
I think
we just want you to be
this shit
happy.
that went down brought us closer.
Yeah.
Um and I'm grateful for that happening, but like yeah, he was I think he was one of the first to like actually try to understand like what I was going through psychologically and like emotionally
Yeah.
instead of just being like, "Oh my god, you're getting a divorce? Like what the fuck?"
Yeah.
But yeah, so we got into like the lying shit and all that and we had a rough patch before we had rainbows and
Oh, you and me. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Yeah.
so we were like hanging out and we were um
Part of me wants to
not
insert the Ross, we were on a break.
not exclusive. We weren't exclusive. I will give you
Yeah.
that because I was
Look,
still
I don't even want you to give me that because, well, look, what I did was not cool. For sure.
okay. But what I did in response to that also wasn't cool.
Yeah. Well, you also
But I
didn't, you told
felt
me, I found out about it way later. You could have let that one just go.
I
I
I
never,
couldn't
ever. I
have
could
lived with that.
never have known about it.
I
But,
couldn't have lived with that. So wait. So I had left my ex.
yeah.
We had a house together, and I left
Yeah.
to come live with you and your
X.
ex.
Yeah. Yeah.
um. But So yeah. So we were living together, and then um.
You were staying
I
with me. I wouldn't call it we were. I wouldn't say we
okay.
were living together. You were
I was
staying with
staying
me.
with him and I had a night where I had to go back to my parents' house to watch the dog. And so I had to leave work early and we all worked together, everyone that was involved in this
Yeah.
entanglement like you
Yeah.
said
Entanglement.
the
Yeah.
previous episode
We
or
were
whatever.
entangled.
I had to leave work early and honestly, before I even left work, like I knew what was going to happen. I just knew.
Yeah.
Like I knew that you guys had texted before and I knew that you were like being flirty at work. And honestly, the moment I realized this was happening, like I felt sick to my stomach.
Yeah.
That's the feeling that I got.
I wish that I mean, even to this day, I wish I had a better explanation. I
Can I ask
legitimately,
you
yeah,
can I
go ahead.
ask you this and I don't want you to like feel judged,
Okay.
but were you like to an extent just trying to um like grab and hang on to anything that was like coming your way kind of thing? Like
No.
I wanted you and then like I was uncertain, but then she wanted you and then you were like, "Okay, cool."
I
Like,
mean, it was definitely nice to be like, I don't know, wanted, sure.
yeah.
But no, I mean, that night in particular, I wish I had a better explanation other than like I was, I mean, I legitimately blacked out.
I know.
I don't remember leaving. Um,
And you know how
I
I know
spoke to
this?
her later,
Yeah.
like way, I mean, not way later, but like,
The day after, cause you also like fucked with her the day
well,
after.
yeah, that was straight up, yeah, that was bad news. That was just like guilt. Uh, that was like, well, the thing that I wanted most is just crumbled down around me. So how do
Yeah.
I in this short moment make myself feel better? Is what that
Yeah.
was.
And that makes sense.
I guess it still was
It
terrible.
it it makes sense
It
because
was
I
terrible.
felt that way a bit. Like when so I knew that that had happened with you that night that I left work early because you know who
Yeah,
called me and we were talking for a while that night and that's when he was like, "Yeah, they left together and whatever." So that's when I was just like heartbroken and I was like, "Okay, I need something to help me feel better."
yeah,
Like that's why and I hate to admit that because it makes me kind of feel bad for him
yeah,
that I did that. You know,
yeah,
I just felt like I used him a little bit, but
yeah. I'm sure he was fine with it.
yeah, probably. But yeah, so we had a little break, maybe like a week or two.
Yeah.
where we were like,
Yeah.
I was not trying to answer your phone calls. I was just like,
Well, you didn't.
no, I didn't.
Yeah, you didn't. But no, I mean that should have really been like the major red flag of like, hey, you should stop drinking because
Oh,
like I said, I mean, I literally had to ask her like, I mean, not even the next day. I mean, like a week or so later. I mean, I remember being like, what, like you got to tell me like what happened because I like legitimately. She's like, well, like like you were drinking here.
yeah,
We went to your place, and I was like, well, did we like hook up? Like, do we have sex? She's like, well, you tried, and then you just like passed out.
yeah,
And I was like, oh, all right. Well, I was like, I'm sorry. I mean, I felt like I needed to apologize, for
right,
just. I mean, she's a big girl. She made her own decisions too, but like I definitely helped put her in a situation that
right.
made things awkward for everybody. But
So,
yeah. But I mean, that was like the last little test, you know, last little
so
test
when I
before.
found out about that, I told myself, okay, I'm done. Like the very next day, I went to your house while you were already at work.
Yeah.
I left you your key. I left you all the love notes and that
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Took my pajamas and like whatever else
Everything.
was
Yeah.
there. Yeah. So we had a couple weeks of a break, but
Again, gotta say, calculated move on my end
how so?
when I chose to stop. When I was like, you know what, like she's made her decision. She doesn't want to talk to me anymore. I'm not gonna talk to her anymore
What do you mean?
because once I stopped, like
You stopped talking to me?
there was like 3-4 days where I stopped. Like there were 3 or 4 days where I didn't send you a text and I didn't try to call you. I was like, you know what, she wants me. She wants to be alone. I'm gonna leave her alone.
Yeah.
And I remember like
I don't remember these days.
the fourth day or so, you were just like, you would like text me.
I did?
Yeah, you would text me and we're like something. It was just something along the lines of like, I just like really hate that I like haven't heard from you. I was like, yeah, I know.
I did
Yeah, yeah,
that?
yeah, yeah. I mean, you still like weren't
You know what song
thrilled
just
by
popped into my head? That
any.
Usher song. That Usher song, You Got It Bad.
I mean,
Apparently I did.
but no, yeah. So I mean, it was like a couple weeks, and then it was a concert.
Yeah.
That was awkward.
You think so?
I mean, things. Yeah, dude, things were definitely still shaky because
Yeah.
well, the first time that I did see you after all of that was like we walked, we talked, I cried,
Yeah.
um, and then like we were sitting on my couch, and you were like, I don't know. You said, dude, I just worked some magic.
Oh,
And
stop
I
it.
was like, I was like, I just really want to kiss you. And then you were like, well, let's just go upstairs. And we banged. And then you were still not happy with me. You were still like, you're like, yeah, I don't know how I feel right now. I was like, all right, fair enough. It's fair. It's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then, Halloween, such a great time of year for us because that's when we moved into this house.
We did right
Literally like the day
before.
of the day before.
Yeah, right before.
But yeah, I mean, couple week break, and then um,
But I still
what
want to
makes the heart grow space makes the heart grow fonder. What is it?
absence.
Absence makes the heart grow fonder.
But I still want to emphasize the fact that it took my family a long time to come around.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
I remember being so nervous the
Understandably.
first time that it was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go see them."
Yeah.
I was very nervous. I was like, oh shit, this is getting real. And I was like, they probably hate me. I'm like a symbol to them of not goodness.
Oh, right. Um, oh my gosh, you know what I thought about earlier, and I don't want to forget to mention it, but excuse me.
You got it, man.
Um, Before I left my ex and the house that we were in, this is how conflicted I was in my own head. I was reaching out to people. Like I reached out to this girl on Facebook who I went to school with, but I didn't know personally. I just knew that she had a long-term relationship with her like high school sweetheart,
Mm-hmm.
and they ended up separating. I reached out to her for advice. I
Damn, just randos.
I DM'd on Instagram. I DM'd Logic
Okay. How'd that
because
work out?
he was married before,
Yeah.
and they were together, and they seemed like happy go lucky, like everything was cool. Of course, that's what social media is. Like
The,
everybody seems cool.
did Logic drop you any knowledge?
No, he
Yeah.
never got back.
Yeah.
But I DM'd him because
Surprised.
I was like, just I guess asking for advice and like, how
Hey,
did you
Logic.
know when you weren't? Like, what
Yeah.
happened?
Can you spit me some bars about how things don't work out?
Can you write a song for me? But no, I reached out to Logic, yes, before I
I think
left.
the biggest thing that like, it was like the first adult. Like, I have been in relationships, and granted, most of my relationships, I was the reason for said relationship not working out. But like, I felt like, I don't know, it felt like there was more to us. Like, we could have just let it. Like, we could have gone our own separate ways. Like, things at many occasions, like we could have, like,
Yeah,
things could have just stopped working.
yeah,
And it's like so cliche to be like, oh, we were in love and blah blah blah. But like, I don't know, we like adulted through it. Like
yeah,
we could have selfishly on either side been like I'm so angry at this person. Forget this. I
right,
don't want to. I don't want to deal with this anymore.
right.
And instead, like, we kind of
But I think
like
that it,
let cooler heads prevail, and then like talked. Like, we actually like talked after like I did my thing.
yeah.
Like, actually like talked, and
What do you mean? Did your thing?
like after I
Oh, that
yeah
that like bumpy road part?
the bumpy road,
Yeah.
the dirt road
Um,
anthem.
I will tell you that I honestly do regret not telling you sooner.
Oh,
Even though like you said,
I mean,
like
I
we
always
were in a break,
yeah. I mean, I always kind of like
you assumed.
I kind of always had an idea. Yeah.
But I did regret not telling you sooner because I think I told you when we were already pregnant.
Yeah.
Yeah, which was kind of weird, but yeah, so it all worked out and I mean it does sound cliche, but like I I really feel like what's meant to be will happen,
Yeah. Well, but also like
even if it sucks to get there.
I feel like it's it like what's meant to be will happen, but you also have to like work. Like, you have to be able to kind of recognize when
You
something's
do.
like meant
And
to be.
that's why I truly feel like I did trust my gut
Yeah.
on that call that I made and leaving
Yeah.
my
Well,
ex,
that's why, when I had like people telling me
even though my family hated me.
when I had people telling me like this just isn't gonna work out.
Hmm.
Like, I mean, I remember specifically being told um
Right, right.
like this is only gonna end poorly for you.
Well, they didn't know me apparently.
They didn't know you,
Known me. They didn't know me
but
apparently
I
well
was
enough.
and I was also willing. I don't know. Again, I just maybe I fell too hard, too quick, or whatever. But I mean, I remember being like, all right, well, even if this is only gonna end poorly for me, I'm willing. I'm willing to like run this down to the like I'm willing to like run this down into the ground. Like, if it's going to like kill me emotionally, fine. But I'm willing to see what's at the end of this road because like
Right.
I just thought you were so special. And I was yeah, it was like you were the first. Well, it's like, when you're younger, it's like you said, like, you don't even know who you are.
You
When you're
don't.
younger, like I had
And
I had
isn't that
relationships that
crazy?
were
Like,
long.
and you don't know that until you're older.
And that's yeah. And that's not to say that you can't have like relationship with somebody grow and
No, of course
evolve
you can
as you
be
get
like
older.
high school sweethearts
But
and
like,
like be together,
I had
but
relationships when I was younger, and it was clear like I had no idea who I was, what I wanted. Um
right.
and I think it all just, you know, it was meant to be, and it
I
all worked
yeah.
out in a perfect way that like when I started to figure out like who you were, I was just like, "Oh man, like this is somebody really awesome. This is somebody that I can like really be like
Dirty with.
myself." Yeah, I mean, basically, yeah, like my true self, the
Yeah.
person that like I don't have to like really censor my internal monologue at all around you. I get to just
Right.
be me, and unless you're like really lying, you seem to appreciate it. You seem
I
to you seem to have a good time with it.
I do. Um but yeah, like you said, you don't what is scientifically you stop, like your brain stops
It's
developing
like
at like
24,
24.
25, something like that.
Yeah. So it's just, I don't know. It's like, it's crazy to think, like, honestly, thinking back about when I first started, like, seeing my ex, it doesn't even seem like me in the memory. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like it was a totally different person. And, there was, I hate to use, like, the phrase red flags because I don't want it to sound fake, but, like, in my whole, like, lifetime growing up, I thought that, like, when emotional times came about, I would cry and be emotional. Like when he proposed to me, I was like trying to force tears just
Like
to
you,
seem like I
yeah,
was
like
like,
this
"Oh
is
my
what I'm
God."
supposed to be doing. Yeah.
Exactly. So like that brings me back to like growing up, I had this idea in my head like this is how it's supposed to go. This is what life is. Like you just find someone,
Yeah.
settle down, have kids, like everything in that order. You're not allowed to like deviate.
Yeah.
And I just like blew that all to shit. Like
Yeah.
I
Well,
everything ass backwards after
yeah.
that.
To some extent, though, from what I've gathered, like everyone has their own like timeline for when they like shed certain parts of their like
Mhm.
themselves, and
It took me
you
a
were,
while.
yeah, you were kind of a late bloomer with
I
other
was.
things as well. As I feel like that, like I think, and I don't want to speak for you, but I think me coming along when I did, and maybe giving you some of the things that you weren't getting, helped maybe like crack that shell a little bit and bring out
Right.
a new Nikki.
And you know what's funny to think
So
about
weird
too
to
is
say
that
your name now.
I know, isn't
I'm
it?
so used to like just being like babe,
Yeah, I
Jean,
don't like saying your name either. It's weird.
Nikki.
Um,
Gross.
oh, look how pale my lip. Ugh.
Yeah, dude.
What was I gonna say? It's funny that before we even started like talking, I had known you and known about you like in the workplace for like a year and a half.
Yeah.
And I always thought, like thinking back, I always thought that you were funny because I would hear you joke around with other like line cooks and
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
people in the workplace, and just thought like, oh, he's I don't know, just a chill, like
Pretty personable.
laid back dude. Yeah, you are
Pretty personable.
charismatic for
Yeah.
sure.
Bard. That's what we do.
What?
It's Dungeons and Dragons. Bard.
Um, yeah, but it just something just made me like take down your phone number off that piece of paper that one day and
Yeah,
like
stalk me like a weirdo. Hey, I've got questions about work things. Are there muffins trade out?
no, this is what it was. I texted you and I was like, "Hey, did I leave my coat at work?" Because we were about to go on like a little bit of a break for Christmas time,
Yeah,
a couple days or a few days away from work, and that was like my heavy coat.
yeah,
So I just wanted to like think of something to ask you,
yeah.
and I knew that I left it there, but I asked you anyways.
Nice. It's like I don't fucking know. I'm home.
No, but like kind of right off the bat, you opened up. Like you told me about your brother and like
Yeah.
your family and stuff like that, like just through
Well,
text,
yeah. I've
and it was
always,
refreshing. It was
yeah.
nice.
Well, I've always found value in, um, like being open like that with people. Like I certainly never like, I didn't specifically set out to like use stuff like that as like a tool with like women or anything.
Yeah.
Just always very open. Because I think, especially like with my brother and stuff, I wanted to get it out of the way. Because I didn't want it to be something that like people would find out about down the road and then be like, oh my God. Like I was like, get past that part.
Yeah.
Like I'm past that part. I don't need people being like, oh my God, I'm so sorry.
Right.
It's like,
Right.
it's been a long time already. I don't need to hear that.
Yeah.
And so a lot of that stuff I just kind of like would get out of the way. But then I also am selfish enough. I enjoy talking about myself.
I mean, I feel like that's everybody though, don't you think?
Maybe, maybe not.
Some more than others,
Yeah,
but you like to,
I just like to talk in general,
yeah.
and so I'll just do that. Just talk. Yeah.
That wasn't supposed to come out as a whisper, but my voice got stuck. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that's, I don't know. We definitely didn't.
So we had a rough start. We
Yeah, I mean,
It was
we were
it was
star-crossed
rough.
lovers.
It was rough for me. It was very rough for me.
Yeah. I mean, there were
Like
definitely,
taking that leap and then
yeah.
getting
Yeah,
hurt
like I
and
said, I mean,
then taking another leap.
you had to be like you had to be way braver than I was.
Thanks, babe.
There wasn't really much on the line for me. I mean, other than like losing you, which is definitely a lot. But there wasn't like I don't know, there weren't like hurdles in the way to that. Like I could have just fucked up and lost you
Yeah.
without having to like jump over things. You had to like break some walls down and stuff to even like get to the stage of
Yeah.
allowing me to fuck up. So you were a brave girl.
So let me ask you something real.
Ooh, something real.
Okay, pause because I'm going to readjust.
Uh, oh, weird.
This Bubba hair is bugging me in the picture.
Okay. This is where things
So,
stop being fake and start getting real.
well, I just want to ask you,
Yeah.
and obviously it might be different because you're a dude and I'm a chick, and
No way.
I mean, last time I checked,
Are we? I mean, it is 2022. You could not be anymore. It's kind of up to
if
you.
you were in my shoes, and I don't want you to feel any type of way about this
Okay.
because I don't have any plans to,
Okay.
but if you were in my shoes and this all went down in your past, and you were married before and had a house with her before,
Mm-hmm.
but just kind of like ghosted, not her, but like everyone else involved, would you feel some type of way about like maybe I should apologize? Or would you just be like, that's
Wait.
it? Like I shouldn't
Oh,
go
like,
back and say anything? Like me specifically, I'm talking about his family.
yeah.
So his parents were awesome. Like I didn't say a word to anybody. Like
Yeah.
it was between him and I and
Mm-hmm.
me and you, and I just left. No one reached out to me. Of
Yeah.
course, they blocked me on social media, which I expected. But how would you feel like this far down the line? Like, obviously, there's so many more important things, but I just like a part of me, and I don't think I'd be human if I didn't feel this way, but a part of me is just like, man, should I say sorry?
Yeah. I mean, I think there's probably some utility,
Should I
yeah.
write a letter? Like,
There's probably some utility, yeah, in apologizing for you, for sure. Um, you should be probably
I don't
prepared.
plan to,
Well, I'm just saying,
but I'm
if you
asking you how
were
you
to,
feel.
um, I wouldn't care. I would say that if you think that there's value to it for you, then you should probably do it. Um, you should probably be prepared on the off chance that someone's like, fuck you, you fucking slut bitch.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Be
I know
prepared for
that.
something like that.
I hope
Um,
that like they're kind
but
of
if, you know, if it's coming from like a place, like a real place that you feel like you should do it, and just be like, look, I
you
dude,
keep
don't be touching my pillow.
you keep like it keeps
Don't
touching
be
the
touching
mic.
my pillow, bitch. Um,
But if you were in my shoes, would you have feelings like that? Do you think? Where like, man, I just kind of like
probably.
left everyone in the dust and like
Yeah,
didn't say
dude.
shit.
Sometimes I have the thought of like apologizing to like my high school girlfriend.
You
Like
did on the pod.
probably,
You
and
did.
that's how terrible I am. Whereas like,
Cuz you said you tried to get with her for like years and you're like,
well, not tried. I did a couple of times while I was like with another girl. Yeah.
yeah.
Um, but no, I mean, yeah, I would probably feel the same way.
Yeah.
Now, to be fair, the only other thing I said, I don't know if you necessarily have anything to apologize for. Like that's kind of up to you to figure out
Right.
because a fair amount of the whole situation
I guess
was
I guess
thrust
it would
upon you
be
by him.
but I guess it would be to apologize for
I mean, if you're apologizing for like not
not
saying anything, then yeah, sure.
right when I knew I was having doubts and not
Yeah.
putting like an end to
Yeah.
the timeline.
I would just be careful if you were to do it. I wouldn't try to throw him under the bus and be like, well, to be fair, he
No, no,
did
no. I
this.
wouldn't try to do that.
But I'd also expect anywhere from zero response to a response of they are not happy with you still.
No, I don't think that they would be.
But no, I don't think you're crazy for
But it
feeling that
just,
way.
I just like,
I'd imagine I'd feel that way.
I just feel like, especially like with his parents, and like I knew his grandparents, and they were just like up there in age, and I
Mm.
just feel like if
Yeah.
they were upset about it, like Jesus must have taken a toll. But no, I just wanted to know how you think you would feel if you were like in that situation.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. It's tough to
It is.
really say how
Yeah.
like you'd feel with something like that.
Yeah.
But you know, I generally
Yeah.
try to be on the better side of people. So I would definitely float the idea around in my head of like apologizing, yeah.
Right. Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens.
There's also varying degrees, you know. I don't know. I'm a sticky wicket when it comes to stuff like that because there's no
What's a
part.
wicket?
It's I think I don't know. You hit a croquet ball through it. It's like the
That's what it
little
is?
wicket. I think so. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So I think
The little like archway for your
yeah,
ball?
yeah. I think a sticky wicket means it's like hard to
Weird.
get through. Um, like with my ex, I don't know. I don't really feel like I owe any apologies. Just because.
Oh, you
I mean, I
don't?
probably should.
I probably should too for
Some way. Yeah. Yeah.
you know
Well.
what,
Yeah.
but we're
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
gonna.
Yeah. But to some extent, I probably should.
Actually,
But
no, not
also,
her, the landlord.
like, so after all of our stuff went down,
Hmm.
she had finally come out and admitted to me that she'd been like cheating on me the whole time. So
Yeah, I remember you said that
I was just like, all right, cool.
with the person that got her pregnant,
No,
or
I have no idea.
oh, I
Never,
thought that.
no idea. Never cared to ask.
Yeah,
I mean, by the time I found out about it, I was like, I mean, instead of being like, oh my god, I'm hurt, I was like, how the fuck are you gonna bitch at me then? Like, how
yeah,
are you gonna fucking bitch at me
right,
for what like's going on with me, Nikki? Like, you have no right to say a word to me.
yeah,
Just get out of here.
yeah.
But a very rocky start, but it
It
has
was wild.
brought us to. I don't know. It's brought us to a place that's fucking sweet. We have a cool fucking kid,
We have
and
an amazing little man.
we're happier than I think we could even really imagine. Like even with some
Yeah.
of the silly stuff that bugs me, for the most part, it's all pretty fucking
That bugs you these days?
yeah.
Like what?
Like work stuff, like that
Oh,
stuff,
work
like all
stuff.
that stuff aside. Like
Yeah.
for the most part, my general day to day is pretty happy, pretty easy.
Yeah.
Sometimes I
You
gotta
know,
be a bit
you.
more. I gotta be a bit more. Uh, I think sometimes I need to be a bit more thankful for just how like easy it really is.
Yeah.
Stop trying to be like so like hard on myself about some of the stuff.
Yeah, but at the same time, you know whether you're happy or not.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, it's not again. It's not even like it's hard to define it as being like I'm unhappy.
Or just bored.
Bored. I just to some extent feel like I maybe am owed a little bit more than I'm getting.
Oh.
I feel like I should be given a bit more responsibility.
Right. I remember you told me
All that
that.
kind of stuff. But it's also is what it is.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be ever more cognizant of that. It is what it is. It's something that I like watched the other day, like a interview of Jim Carrey.
Oh, I love him.
He's a very interesting dude, and he gets
Mhm.
like a really weird. He's in a really weird place where he gets a very like bad rap. Everybody
Mhm.
thinks he's like kind of losing his mind, and when I listen to him sometimes, I think that it's possible that he might have found his mind more so than any other person like on the planet
Right.
right now.
Right.
Like he has a very interesting look on like especially for somebody who's like that famous
Yeah.
to be like I can only imagine the work that must have the work he must have done to get to a point where he's He's like, my biggest struggle right now is to try to live my life to not be Jim Carrey. Like, trying to be Jim Carrey, trying to play the character of Jim Carrey is what, like, brings on, like, depression and brings on, like,
Right.
stress. Like, I'm trying to just be, like, he puts it in a very, like, metaphysical kind of thing where he's, like, talks about how he's, like, trying to be the universe through Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
And, I think that's, like, what throws people off. Like, I get what he's saying, though, is, like, and to an extent, I think, like, Jordan Peterson talks about it. There's, like, the voice in your head versus, like, there's the voice in your head that for the most part should be working in a manner that's, like, when I tell you, like, I'm not trying to lie to people, I'm really, like, it's like the voice in my head that's like, you shouldn't be doing this. Like,
Yeah.
like, when I have the thought of, like, man, it would be so easy to be like, hey, Colton's not feeling good
Well, then
today,
you're
I'm
lying
not
to
going to come into work.
yourself,
Yeah.
is the
And
thing.
that's, like, the worst kind of lie you could do.
Yeah.
And so there's that voice. And I think what Jim Carrey's trying to express is, like, he's gotten to a point where he's really removed the, I guess what you'd like, the conscious part of himself. Like,
Mm-hmm.
the part that's more or less driven by, like, the ego. We think of, like, consciousness, but it's like your ego kind of.
Right.
And that he's really just trying to, like, live off of that voice that's, I guess, more instinctual than anything. It's just, like, try to be in tune with that and focused on that as best as you can. I
Yeah.
don't know. It's very difficult. And every day
It is tough.
I get away from it, and then every day I'm like, dude, you gotta calm down. You gotta rein yourself back in and just, like, be thankful. Be thankful for what you got. Be thankful for what you have.
Yeah.
Be thankful, like, I'm able to provide for you guys. That's, like, the big thing. I just gotta always remember that. It's just, who am I? Who am I
I think
to
about,
ask for, like,
well,
total
no.
happiness in my job?
Well, no. No.
Yeah. No.
No. Listen, I
I'm
think
not.
about that. I think about that often
Yeah.
when you're away from us, when you're working. And I think about both sides. Like I mentioned in one of the other episodes, like I try to play devil's advocate and, like, think of all the different possible perspectives. But I think of, like, maybe older generations that might say, dude, just suck it up and, like, earn the paycheck.
Yeah.
But I don't, I don't regret being this. I don't know if it's this generation or this mindset. I don't think it's wrong to be like, I want to be happy.
Yeah.
I want to do something that I'm passionate about.
Yeah.
I don't want to just go and, like,
Well, I think,
go through the
I guess
motions and
what
make a
what I
paycheck.
say, what I'm just trying to express at times, though, is, like, I think sometimes it's easier to get bogged down by the small things that could make you seem like you're not happy, when in reality they're, like, these tiny little blips, like stepping on a Lego. Like, stepping on the Lego, it hurts in that moment. It probably hurts a lot in that moment. It's not going to affect your day at all. And, like, there's just, there more or less, there's these tiny little blips of unhappiness that pop through. And I could be better at not letting them kind of, like, latch on and grasp onto me as hard as they do. Could be a lot better at just being like, well, you know what? It's cool.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, I should be very grateful, that I'm afforded, the ability to do what I do for, what I make. I'm still able to get, I'd like to have more time off with you guys, but,
Right.
I'm still able to get some time off with you guys. Like, I think sometimes I could realize that I don't think the bad outweighs the good as much as I sometimes allow myself to perceive it. That's all. I'm
Yeah.
not saying that, like, I'm
No, I believe you. I just
totally unhappy and I have to force myself through it and that's just the way it is. I think there's just, like, a constant scaling effect of the both. And it's just naturally you're inclined that when the scale's tipping in the negative side of things, you're just naturally inclined to look at it and focus on that a bit more
Yeah.
than when it's kind of scaled on the good side.
Right.
When it's scaled on the good side, things just tend to go by like that, and next thing you know, you're done. And it's like, oh, all right, cool. It's not as rewarding. The reward doesn't seem to be an equal, like an equal sum to the negative award.
Yeah.
Like it's just easier to be like, oh man, this sucks, and see it that way
Right.
when it is that way, as opposed to being like, oh man, this is fucking great
Right.
when things are going great. That's all.
Yeah. No, I believe you.
Yeah.
I just want you to be happy.
Yeah, I mean, like I said,
But
generally pretty
yeah.
happy.
Good.
Once this fucking podcast pops off and I don't have to work anymore, I'll be real fucking happy.
Pop, pop, pop.
That's why people need to like, share, subscribe.
I thought you silenced
I
your
thought
phone.
I did too.
Jesus.
Hopefully somebody's fucking sending me another trade that isn't so fucking whack. Nope. Oh wait, maybe.
At 12:30 at night.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
It's 12:30 at night, guys.
the trade that I offered him had been sitting on his fucking desk for a minute. Sorry.
You're fine. I'll cut this out.
But like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff.
I
That
have
was a solid transition too
Wait to what?
on the like, share, subscribe part. When I was the podcast popping off, I won't have to work.
Yeah.
So like, share,
Oh,
subscribe.
you won't have to work.
What
So
do you-
I wanted to ask you.
I'm
I
listening.
put this in my notes. Okay. I put this in my notes yesterday when you were off. Like, shortly after it happened. But you were off and I went to walk. Wait, did I have a kid yesterday? I did it before. I did it before I babysat. Yesterday morning. I went to get ready to walk the boys, and you asked me, like how far I was going. You
Mhm.
asked me like where I was walking to, and I told you. And so immediately in my head, because this is just how I think, is okay. He either asked me that because he was contemplating going with us,
Yeah.
or because he wanted to know if he had enough time to jerk off before we got back.
Oh. I think
Which
it was,
one?
I think it was both.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was definitely
I
contemplating going with
appreciate
you.
your honesty.
And then yeah, I think I did rub one out.
Yeah. You think? I
Yeah.
mean, like you can't remember?
No,
Gene.
can't.
Yeah, right.
Pretty sure I did.
Yeah.
But no, I was thinking about going with you.
I mean, I did this morning after you left, so.
It was really nice, and I was like,
It was really nice.
I was
Oh,
like,
you mean the weather?
yeah, the weather.
Not
It was really nice out. I was like, yeah, man, I might go with them. But yeah, I was like, man,
Yeah, and then duty called.
duty.
Yeah. It's all
I
good, Gene.
might have pooped too. Might have been
Nice.
double duty.
Nice.
Might have.
It's all good. I get it.
Yeah. I would hope it's all good. I wouldn't expect that not to be good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was on my list.
All right. Hey, all for it. Do you have a would you rather? You wanna?
I don't actually. No, I don't. But I will say that, like I told you before, we plan on every week adding to these. Okay, so first of all, in the camera, I mean, what is this? Like a W or some saggy titties or what? Like torpedo titties?
Oh.
I feel like I want to change it.
Well, I guess before you adjusted it, you probably saw the whole thing.
I did adjust it.
Witch tits. Saggy witch tits.
Yeah. There we go.
All right, boom, nailed it for you. You're welcome. We are like, what, 2 weeks away? What's 2 weeks away from Spooktober? I'm so excited.
Can you say that?
Same page, Spooktober.
I don't know if you can say that.
Spooktober? Why not? Oh.
But yes, it's coming up very soon.
Yeah, I'm so excited.
Yeah. So again, hit the subscribe button, and if you don't already, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Same Page the Pod.
Like the podcast at any point.
Finish your yawn first.
Yeah. If at any point you liked anything that we talked about today, hit a like button. Hit the like button. It does wonders for the YouTube algorithm.
Yeah.
And it will do wonders for us. There's like, on average, I've gone through now, we're like averaging 200-ish views.
Yeah.
Take all of our episodes. So, we have like 1/10 of the viewership is subscribed.
Yeah.
Because we're like 18, 19 subscribers.
I get it. Like, subscribing to things that you're like iffy about is like weird, but you can subscribe and we still won't blow your phone up with notifications.
Yeah, I don't think you have to turn notifications on.
No, you don't.
We're not even asking for that. Yeah, just subscribe. Although, if you want to put notifications, totally do it.
Yeah.
Totally.
We only post like a couple times a week.
Yeah. And
For
if
right now.
if you think we need more content, then email us. Content ideas, questions.
Same page of the pod at gmail.com.
Dude, we're getting pretty good at this. It's getting pretty smooth.
Um,
All right. Well, we'll get into the dreams next week, I guess.
oh, yeah,
Put that
dreams.
in.
Isn't that crazy, though, that I thought of a dream thing, too, before you told me that?
I guess. Mine aren't necessarily about dreams, but
Well,
maybe
mine aren't either, but it's,
go get into some dream talk.
yeah,
Some dream talk. What are they?
yeah.
Windows to the astral realm. People.
Oh, wait, what?
Yeah, dude. You don't even know. You're
You
such
know,
a
I was
rookie.
just going to say
You're
it's been a
such a
long
rookie.
time since I had a dream where I could fly. That's
Okay.
about it.
That was it? Wow.
No, that wasn't my note, but that was on my
Jeez.
mind.
Real basic over there. Flying
But
in
do you
dreams.
remember? Do you remember having flying dreams? You've had them,
Yeah,
right?
I had a couple.
And then, like in the dream, you all of a sudden you can't fly anymore. You're like,
Oh,
what
like,
the
wait a
fuck?
second. I had a recurring dream. God damn. I had a recurring dream when I was real young. That would be, I'm in the backseat of a car, and nobody's driving the car, and the car is like going around a turn, and it's about to go off the edge. And it would go like, it would start flying over
Really?
trees. Don't think I ever fell. Don't think I ever crashed.
But you, as like, you're just like by yourself in the dream, and you
In
could
the
just
backseat of a car.
no. Listen, I'm asking.
No.
No.
Listen.
No. I'm asking if you say you're like just on a sidewalk and you start running and you jump and you can fly.
It just happened like one time.
Really?
Yeah.
I used to get them quite often.
Did you control them?
Yes, and in the
So you could
same.
lucid dream.
No, I couldn't
Okay, then you
control.
can't
I
control it.
couldn't control because
So
toward the end I lost my flying powers,
yeah, because
and then
yeah,
I got pissed about it, and I
yeah,
just kept trying to like jump and make it happen again.
yeah. Okay, so work harder on it.
I
There's
mean,
things you.
whoever can explain that stuff, like hit us up. I'd like to know why
Okay.
that happens.
Well, hit us up, but then also
I
I'll
want to
explain
keep
it next episode
flying.
because I know quite a bit about that stuff.
Okay, yeah, next
Yeah.
episode.
Yes.
Okay, well, thanks for listening,
Yep.
guys. We'll see you next week.
Yep. Thank you.